I know what you're doing right now. You're judging me on my outfit. That's the thing about the cottage. You go through the dresser drawers, find some stuff you left here when you're 15, and you just put it on again. Scallop and Prawn Skewers with habanero maple chili butter and Parmesan grits. The most fun you can have with your shorts on. Unless you're my brother after 4 beers, then that equation completely changes. Skewers up, scallops down, let's get into it. All right, let's start with the habanero butter. This stuff is awesome. It's got habaneros in it, which are really nice and spicy, maple, chilies, butter, and this, my friend, is a habanero. It is very spicy. You can see the flesh in there. The flesh is really good, and habanero pepper has a very nice taste to it, but the chilies can be super, super hot. So I don't put a lot of the chili in there. I just like to roll it open, and then you can see all the violently hot chilies. Those are pretty tasty, but sometimes it's just a little too hot, so I only put like just a few of the seeds in. Yeah, like honestly, 3 or 4, a little bit like that. It's pretty hot. And then the flesh is nice and crunchy and it has a nice hum to it. And a habanero pepper is actually really, really tasty and spicy. You want a lot of lime juice because the lime juice and the spiciness goes good together, and actually acid helps cool some spice down. So don't be shy with the lime juice, and it's really flavorful, like lime, scallops, and the maple syrup is really nice and sweet, but you don't want a lot, so just like a splash, maybe just a little bit more. That's pretty good for the butter, and I use unsalted butter, so I give it a nice little pinch of salt. No pepper because it's pretty spicy, and then a couple big shots of butter, and then I'm gonna whisk that around and it gets really nice and creamy. For the corn grits, this is really simple. So I like using milk, and here's the ratio. It's about 4 to 1. So you want 4 cups of milk and 1 cup of grits, and you wanna get the milk nice and warm. Don't mind if I do. Happy birthday. A little bit of salt, I get the grits in there, move it around, and then I add a ton of Parmesan cheese. Okay, so for the scallops and prawns, these are really nice and delicious, but sometimes if you get a scallop, I have a look at it, and they have this abductor muscle on the scallop, and you want to pull that off. It's not really edible, and then this plump, beautiful, naturally sweet shellfish is delicious. So make sure that you remove all the abductor muscles, so that's good for the scallops. And then the shrimp, these are really nice. They've already been cut open, so it's really easy to peel, and I like leaving the tails on because if you don't like eating it off the stick, you can pull it, and it's your handle to have deliciousness. Okay, a few to do, and I get to skewer. Let's do this. See, the great thing about skewering scallops and prawns is it makes it really easy to cook. If they're all on a stick, you can get some nice char marks, flip it over. You could grill them individually, but meat on a stick, especially seafood, is delicious. So that's easy for the scallop. And so for the prawn, I like to start in the tail and then come up to sit it on top of the scallop, and then I repeat the process. Super easy, super simple, super delicious, and that already looks stunning. It's gonna be so good. Just do it. All right, the corn grits is pretty simple. So once the milk is in there and it's nice and bubbling, then you can add the corn grits. I know it's gonna look like a lot of milk and you put the grits in, you're like, what? This is gonna be runny? Runny. But it's gonna thicken up real quick. So just get the grits in there and start moving it around, and you just wanna continually whisk it till it gets nice and thick. Now these are creamy grits. Not to be confused with the hard grits. These are really nice and creamy. It's also like almost like a puree. They're super delicious. And then once you get a little bit of texture, then you can add way too much Parmesan cheese and a lot of butter. So it doesn't take long to get the grits really nice and creamy, and this is perfect for creamy grits. That's a wonderful texture. It's really nice and smooth. It's really nice and creamy, but it's so good with just the milk and salt, but it doesn't end there. Grits like a lot of fat, so a couple cubes of butter. I'm not shy with the butter because seafood and butter, they're best friends. And I love them cheesy, so a ton of Parmesan cheese. Yes, that's perfect. Like a nice blanketing of parm, and when the butter melts and the parm comes together, they're so good. Check that out. Just let the butter sit in there, melt. It's getting hot in this cottage. All right, the grits can chill out. This looks good. I'm gonna clean up a little bit, and then I get to barbecue scallops, make habanero butter, and life is good. It's also a little warm. Be still, my darling. All is well, my darling. Your anxious heart may be slow. Oh, it weighs you down deeper than you know. All right, to cook the scallops and prawns is pretty simple. What I like to do is just give them a little kiss of salt and then a little shot of oil, and they can go right on the grill. And they're great because they cook up super fast and they're on a stick. Nice sizzle and a little pressure. Super good. All right, so for the butter sauce, just heat it up and just keep it moving in the lime and the maple and the habaneros, and then you get a nice creamy butter sauce. Habanero, butter sauce, prawns, grits. I'm out of my mind. This is good. The great thing about, come here for a second. The great thing about shrimp and scallops is they let you know when they're ready to flip, because you can see the shrimp tails turn nice and pink, and then if you see grill marks, you know it's time for a flip. Look at that! It's so good, beautiful char marks. The shrimp are starting to turn pink. They cook up super fast. The butter's done. This is delicious. Like 30 seconds, take them off, they're ready to eat. Hang loose, dude. So here's a great little tip. If you go out to grill your scallops and your prawns and you come back and you find your grits have seized a little bit, that's okay. Just add a little bit more milk, maybe a shot of butter, heat them back up, and they stay nice and creamy. And they're delicious with all the Parmesan cheese in it. And hey, scallops and prawns are delicious, and they usually come frozen, and that's okay. As long as they're ocean friendly, shrimp and scallops, they're just delicious, and it's great to bring to the cottage, throw them into the freezer. If you're in a pinch for dinner, this is quick, simple, easy, and delicious. And this habanero butter with the maple and the lime in it is so flavorful, and you might think that it's gonna be crazy spicy, but it's not. If you take out the seeds, just add a few seeds and a little bit of the flesh, it has a nice hum to it, and with the maple and the lime and the Parmesan and the grits, it's so good. And it's so quick to make this for a snack or a dinner. And then there's one herb here, just a little bit of cilantro because it goes with the grits and the habanero. This is amazing. It's really easy on the eyes. It's super simple to make. It honestly only takes a minute, and that grits and the butter sauce with the prawns and the scallop is simply delicious. There's only one way to finish this, and that is with a hat flip.